Welcome to today's ceremony and thank you for coming. I am honored to discuss with you today a very important occasion. To honor our national promise to our veterans, we must continue to improve services for our men and women in uniform today and provide long overdue benefits for the veterans and military retirees who have already served, stated Solomon Ortiz. Today we are to remember those men and women that have served our country. I believe this tank in Schleswig, Iowa was seen fitting to give a Veterans Day speech. Throughout this speech we will learn about the history, how families are impacted, and how veterans need help when they are no longer in service. Before we begin honoring our veterans, let's look at how this important occasion began. According to the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs, on November 11, 1919, President Wilson proclaimed November 11th as the first commemoration of Armistice Day. An act was approved on May 13, 1938 that made November 11th a legal holiday for every year, a day to be dedicated to the cause of world peace and be celebrated as Armistice Day. Armistice Day was a day to honor veterans that served during World War I, but World War II required many soldiers, so the act was amended in 1938, replacing armistice with veterans. With the legislation's approval on June 1, 1954, November 11th became a day to honor American veterans of all wars. We have honored our troops and sacrifices ever since. Now that we have learned about the history, we can now learn about how the families of these men and women honored have also been affected. Many men and women were not asked to leave their homes. Some members didn't even volunteer. Those members were called to be a part of something bigger. These men and women rose to the nation's call. Some of these men I know personally. One of my great-grandfathers served during World War II. Both of my grandpas served in National Guard, as well as my dad. While my great-grandpa was in World War II, he often wrote to many people back home, describing the catastrophic events. Boy, this town I'm in sure beat up pretty bad. It sure is a shame there ever had to be a war, but I am thankful that it is in our country. It'll be years before these cities are cleaned up and built up to what they were before. This quote describes the reality and devastation that comes with war. Now that we know the history and what it was like for veterans, we can focus on how to help veterans when they come home. Veterans Day is a day to honor and remember those who have served. But many men and women had difficult challenges along the way, even after they were returning home. According to Brad Plummer with the Washington Post, unemployment rates for recent veterans is very high. Unemployment rates for veterans is high because of the disability, lack of civilian work experience, and obstacles for making veterans transitions. Veterans have served our country, and the government should assist them in finding employment. One way is to give employers incentives for hiring or saving jobs for those who have served. Now that we know why Veterans Day is so important, let's review. You being here today is a tribute to those troops and their families. This day is a way we can remember. Armistice Day began on November 11, 1919, but was later changed to Veterans Day, so members of all wars could be remembered. Veterans being honored have loved ones there to support while they fight for our country. Finally, when men and women finish their active duty, many come home jobless. This makes it difficult for those honored. Thank you for attending this ceremony. God bless our troops and God bless America.